This is American Nomad News, and we have a question, actually a pair of questions that was asked on Facebook. And I'm going to read my typed answer that I posted on Facebook in order to get it into video format and share it on YouTube. What happens if an asteroid hits the moon and destroyed it? What will affect the Earth's tides? Or will it affect the Earth's tides? This is an excellent pair of questions. There are a lot of variables relevant to that question. The first is, what is the mass of the asteroid? The second would be, what is its speed? The third is, what is the trajectory of the asteroid? The relative mass is important to define potential to disintegrate the moon. You see, there is something of a logical fallacy in your question because the mass of the moon would not be destroyed. The moon would break apart if it were hit with enough force. The more mass, the more it would break apart. The speed relative to the moon would be a factor in that force calculation. The trajectory is important because it would define where on the moon it would hit and at what angle. If the impact were a glancing blow, much of the force would be deflected. And like in a game of billiards, the asteroid would impart a factor of delta V, or change velocity, to the overall rotation and direction of the mass of the moon. The pattern of composition of the moon would be important in the final determination, as it would define the nature of the distribution, mass, and size of particles disturbed. How much of the mass of the moon would remain in orbit around the Earth and for how long, as well as what portion would fall to Earth, what portion would leave the orbit of Earth, and how long it would take for the mass with a stable orbit around the Earth to form a new moon, if any. I would be inclined to investigate what effect this event might have on the stability of the orbit of the Earth around the Sun, the stability of the Earth's rotation on its axis, the change in magnetic field lines, tidal patterns, total global thermal budget change from lunar asteroidal mass heating up on entry into the atmosphere, global cooling resulting from the combination of lunar and asteroidal material blocking sunlight from space, ash from falling mass burning up in the atmosphere, ash from volcanic activity, ash from the global fires that would result from falling mass, as well as the fires caused by tsunamis, heat added to the global thermal budget from ignited methane hydrate deposits, greenhouse gas emissions from volcanic activity, damaged industrial containment, forest fires, non-ignited methane hydrate, and vaporization of frozen components of lunar asteroidal mass as it enters the atmosphere, not to mention the transfer of heat from the mantle to the atmosphere from escaping lava. The ISS would be screwed, and any space colonies would be at risk depending on an ever-expanding set of variables that you might not have patience with me on. I hope this goes some small way to answering just how screwed we would be. Darren Marchant. Certainly there is a lot more to discuss on this. If the Earth was disturbed enough, which it could be, it's quite possible. It depends on how big of an object hit the moon. Let's say you had a rogue object like the size of the Ceres asteroid, which is actually ball-like shape that's conjectured by some to be the core of an unstable destroyed planet from the early chaotic stage of our solar system. Let's say something like that hit the moon. Depending on how it hit it, which direction. Let's say that it hit the moon on the exact opposite side of the moon that faced the Earth. That would mean a tremendous amount of material would be sent straight at the Earth. It would also get rid of the mass of the moon, or change that pattern such that there really would not be any stability in the tidal. That kind of concept of having regular tides would just disappear very quickly. But that might actually change the Earth's orbit around the sun enough, depending on where the moon was in the whole cycle of the relationship between the sun and the moon and the Earth, that it might destabilize its orbit and just go flinging off out in the solar system. Run into another planet, disturb all kinds of asteroids. The whole system could just go. That's a highly technical term for total craziness and very low predictability and significant survival problems for anything that's alive. Darren Marchand. American noble. American. Nomad News. American Nomad News. Sorry for the stumble. If I had decent editing software, you wouldn't have to put up with that. But I'm just going to publish this. Thank you guys for tuning in.